Okay. Anybody else want to have another answer? Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
Thomas.
Tom, yes. Foucault, please.
Being a reader of a lot of these obscure books, I'll choose probably the most popular, the ones that Giorgio cited tonight, the diaries of Hugo Ball. And they're very interesting because Hugo Ball was often considered to have a trajectory that was very personal, that he went from a Dada provocateur to a Byzantine monk, and that this was really a personal choice. And yet, there are certain clues that would seem to indicate otherwise, or would link with other clues to overturn that. As I read his diary for the first time, I was very taken by the fact that the name Dada, which is usually considered by art historians to be a pronunciation of a nonsensical syllabary, for Hugo Ball, he claims that no, it's actually the pronunciation of the first two initials twice, to name twice Dionysius the Areopagite, D-A-D-A, Dada. And in that sense, plus the implications, connotations of paternalism and all of that, but remember that Dionysius was the founder of the apophenic way of negative theology. And so we can't help but think that a negative theology, as embodied in an industrial context by the Collège de Sociologie, by Bataille's the rituals of Aspafal, and other, let's call it, deconstruction of art as and in terms of a kind of liturgical disarticulation. I just put it out as a possible way of maybe making sense of art.
No, of course, Hugo Ball was strongly interested in Dionysius. Then there is an important fact. Dionysius is often considered as the founder of negative theology, of mystic, etc. This is false. As Schmidt, there is a letter of Carl Schmitt to the wife of Hugo Ball, in which he says a very intelligent thing. He says, what happens in Dionysius is the triumph of the ecclesiastical hierarchy on everything else. So often people forget that Dionysius is the author of the heavenly hierarchy, and that he invented the term hierarchy. Hierarchy, you say? Hierarchy. This term does not mean at all what we mean today. Literally is sacred power. And so he invented this model of sacred bureaucracy. The angels are the heavenly bureaucrats. No? They are just the ministers of the divine government of the world. And Dionysius is the theoretician of that. This was important for him, no? To give a ground to what? To the ecclesiastical hierarchy. After having written the heavenly hierarchy, he wrote, of course, the ecclesiastical hierarchy, who corresponds perfectly to the first one. So he was a theoretician of liturgy and of sacred power, not of mystic. Often, mystic is used by the bad mystics to found the sacred power.
But if I understand you right, what you're saying, the effect is actually the only thing that counts in such a worldview. Whoever it is, initiate, intention, does not matter. So not only what is the result of it. So if you think about politics, for example, or ontology, it would still be the result, the only thing we can trust, and not any discourse which comes with it. Is that a misunderstanding of what you...
No, absolutely. But to be more precise, the term effectus, effects, has is decisive in the elaboration of this theory. No, I try to reconstruct. But the term effectus does not mean effect in the modern sense. More than that, comes from efficere. Efficere means to put into effect, to realize. And the Ambrosius makes a pun. He says office comes from efficium, meaning an activity which will really, it's the only term I can think is Wirklichkeit, in the sense that something which operates and realizes. So the effect is just according to, not in our modern conception, only cause and effect. No, means this peculiar kind of reality, of action, which is Wirklichkeit. No? And I think we have no other model for thinking reality. I think that we are not Greek at all. We forgot completely what the Greek could mean by energia, eina, etc. We are in this model of Wirklichkeit, a peculiar reality which coincides with the effect, not simply has effect, but takes effect. Effectuate itself.
It would be pretty close to the Hegelian difference between Realität and Wirklichkeit. Wirklichkeit is something which is still the future dimension also, that is which can, which is not what the state of affairs, sondern what in the affairs is.
Yeah, and it's only a kind of zone in difference between being and praxis, being and action. It's being and operation at the same time.
Yeah, please, Nico first.
Professor, thank you for being here. You mentioned the paradigm of the Holy Office and the civil office, and you also mentioned the idea of the priest who could do no wrong only if he was joking. The baptism held no matter what, only if he was joking. And I was thinking of this transfer of the civil office when we have so many world leaders who seem to be far above the law. As an American, I speak obviously of George Bush, but I also think of Sarkozy and Berlusconi, the three of them who seem to be marked by their sarcasm, by their joking. They commit these crimes at the same time as they're also in the newscast. They say a joke. They have an affair with some woman. Not George Bush, he's too good for that. But they're always making a joke. And but I'm wondering if you can comment on that. If there's
on one hand, it's evident for me that the structure in the case of a civil office and the Holy Office is the same. No? We have an action whose reality is independent from the physical or more person of the agent. But then I don't know, perhaps it's a way in which the agent, the moral and physical person, tries to, in a way, show himself. I don't know. But this doesn't make invalid their action.
Yeah, it's actually, as far as I know, there's always a point to say, in America, it's the office of the president. You embarrass as with some of your action, because the office of the president is considered valid in any case. So whoever is the man or the woman in office, that is quite a strong. But is it what I still don't understand really is your own judgment here. Is that something we should get rid of the office?
Absolutely.
Good, thank you.
By the way, you know that in Italian we do not use bureau. Office is also the name of the place, like in English also. No? And I can't stay in an office. Also in the university, I never go in my office. I can see people elsewhere. And
that's why nobody can reach you there. I know.